I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 16th, 2021 Board of Aldermen meeting. Mayor David Dimmitt had another obligation. I'm Steve Lockmiller, Ward 3 Alderman, and Mayor Pro Tem. I will be residing over the meeting. Let's all stand together for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Kelly, can we have roll call, please?
Alderman Plufka?
Here.
Alderwoman Tice?
Here.
Alderwoman Sims?
Here.
Alderman Waggy?
Here.
Alderman Gould?
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Alderman Shelton?
Here.
All
We're all
members
here
present.
today. Great. Move on to approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Can we approve by acclamation? Any opposition? We'll approve the agenda by acclamation. Moving on to citizen comment. Anybody, any citizen like to comment? You'll have 3 minutes. Come up to the podium. Not in person. Anyone virtually, Kelly?
There's no one virtually at this time.
Okay. Close citizen comment. Move on to mayor and alderman report. I don't believe the mayor had a report, Bola?
He did not.
Okay. Alderman Plufka, any
No
report?
report.
Alderman Parker Tice?
No report.
Alderwoman Sunny Sims?
No report.
Alderman Brandon Waggy?
Yeah, a couple of public works things. First of all, the public works meeting has been rescheduled. It'll be Wednesday, the 18th at 5:30, ahead of the special session that we have at 7. So we worked the agenda today to make sure we're done by 7 o'clock. So we got a hard stop, get to another meeting. And in terms of the big storm we have today, I'd just like to say a personal thank you to everybody I know, once again. I mean, it feels like just 5 weeks ago that we were doing this, but everybody was out there working hard. I was out looking at the tree that had fallen on the house and was, had ripped up a gas line so you could smell gas, and was also on fire because it was sitting on top of it was like the trifecta of terribleness, and just, firemen were there and keeping everybody safe. So really a big thanks to all the staff that was really working hard then. I would like to note that because of the severity, Parks and Rec will be going around and picking up limbs and such. Again, residents just need to pull them out. They don't need to cut them the length or cord them up or anything. And that all needs to be out on the curb by the 19th. And in terms of damage that I saw, I think in terms of, city things, there was a tree that was down on the Bridgeport, the white walkway that we're looking to get done. I know the goal was to get that done by the time school started on Monday next week. There's still that last section around. I personally was worried that the tree in the middle that we had worked so hard to avoid is what had fallen down when I went to look at it, but it was not that. But there is a tree that is down over that walkway. And I talked to staff today, and we're still going to try and get that done by Monday so the kids can walk along that path. As it is right now, it's too dangerous to walk along because of that tree no matter what. So we are focusing on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Alderman Gould?
Yeah, I'd like to also thank the Brentwood Bound Task Force for organizing the viewing party, I guess, if you will, and discussion. I thought that was really nicely done, and look forward to having more of those. And no other report. Thank you.
Right, I just would like to mention that the Public Safety Committee meeting that was originally scheduled for August 25th has been moved to August 31st, which is a Tuesday at 5:30 right here. Who else we got? Alderman Jack Shelton?
Yep, just a reminder that our Ward 4 meeting is not next, but Tuesday, August 31st, along with the Brentwood Forest meeting. So we'll be at 6 o'clock at the Brentwood Forest Clubhouse.
Alderwoman Kathy O'Neill?
Yes, the library is mostly open. The hours are a bit different, and they will not operate on Sunday, but we can go in and actually use the library now instead of just being in the parking lot.
Thank you. Great, we'll move on to City Administrator Report. Bola, I believe we have Brentwood Bound update.
Yes, we do. Craig Schluter with Navigate Building Solutions.
Good evening, Craig Schluter with Navigate Building Solutions. So starting with construction costs, total spend since the last Board of Aldermen meeting was $1,141,470.75. Next is soft costs. $196,449 was spent since the last meeting. That was on material testing, playground and event lawn, comfort station design and engineering, project management fees, real estate appraisal, legal fees, bid advertisements, and redevelopment consulting. Next is property acquisitions. $100 was spent on a temporary construction easement. In the contingency category, so the amount that remains uncommitted is $5.185 million. And that takes in the assumption that you all approve the GRG connector and the event lawn bid results. So I wanted to give you that realistic number, so we're having to do a math equation later. So that's how much contingency would be left if you guys approved both bid results, again, for the GRG connector Part A and for the event lawn building. So that's still a very healthy contingency amount for this current stage of the project, and it doesn't take into account the other approximately $5 million of additional funding sources that are listed down below. Going to categories of funding, the city did receive another check from Gray Ridge Greenway. That takes the total amount received to $208,610. The city received another rent check for the Bowser House facility. The city received MoDOT payment for the Missouri American Water easement payment in the amount of $2,800. And the city received the MSD payment for the Dorothy Avenue Playground in the amount of $40,000. So there were numerous checks that came in from various partners, and that completes the report. I can take any questions.
Questions for Craig? Brandon?
Yeah, hey Craig, so I believe I saw an update that MoDOT had selected the contractor for the work on Manchester. Any word on have you started to see a schedule yet on their plan of when the tunnel will go in and in terms of closing down? I know we have the American Water stuff going on, but
Sure.
but the bigger project?
So when they put out the actual bid, when MoDOT put out the actual bid, they stipulated that the tunnel work and the bridge replacement at Hanley Road had to be done in summer of '22. So we have the time defined. Dan and I are actually meeting with MoDOT on Wednesday to look into the schedule and start defining those restrictions even more. So we can report back in the September 7th meeting with more information, because we literally just had the kickoff meeting last Wednesday just to meet the different parties and all the different entities that are involved in this project. So KCI is the contractor, and that work will be done in summer. But after we start talking more about schedule next week, we'll report back on September 7th with better parameters for you all.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman
Building
Plunkett?
on that question, can you just clarify, so construction begins in the summer, does it end in the summer too for both of those?
Correct.
The replacement and the tunnel?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, there's gonna be some like preliminary work, like this Missouri American Water work.
Right.
But when they actually start building the tunnel, it's gonna start, spring, summer '22, and it has to be done late summer of '22.
Very
Both
good.
of those have definitive end dates, and they have liquidated damages tied to those end dates to help force that to get them done extremely quick.
For both the tunnel and the bridge
Correct.
replacement?
Correct.
Thank you.
Alderman Gould?
The work that's going to be starting soon, Missouri American Water, and is it MSD as well on some of the sewer line alignments?
On the tunnel work,
Near, Dorothy Avenue and that area.
I've only heard about Missouri American Water at this point. A lot of the tunnel work's gonna be deeper, which is supposed to go in with the actual tunnel, because we literally have to dig up Manchester Road. But on Wednesday, we're gonna learn more about some of their plans.
So in the drawings that were sent, it doesn't really show north of the area on Dorothy where the new entrance for Van Mark Way is. Is the American Water work affect that area at all, or just down by Manchester Road?
I haven't heard of that going that far north. I don't know, Dan, if you have. Have you heard of Missouri American Water's going north on Dorothy at this point?
Where the new entrance will be?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Okay, so the area of the new entry for Van Mark Way, that's unaffected for the construction work that's going to start?
That's what we've heard so
Okay.
far, yeah.
Great.
And like I said, Dan and my's first meeting with MoDOT is literally in 2 days from now. And we're gonna really start going through the schedule and defining all the work in these areas. So We're really at the infancy of this project. It's just getting kicked off. So if you guys can give us until the next meeting, we'll report back with a lot more
Yeah,
information.
that sounds good. I've had a few citizens ask about, even like the electrical poles that have been moved and the old electrical poles that are still there, are they going to be pulled out? And how, is the alignment of everything still the same? So
Okay,
the more information we have of that stretch,
Sure.
I'm sure as we start seeing more and more construction, I'm going to get,
sure.
Steve and I will get more and more questions
No, that's
about that.
great. Yeah, definitely.
So, thank you.
Any other questions for Craig? Seeing none? Thanks, Craig.
Great, thank you.
The next bullet we have on the list, the smart policing grant collaboration with UMSL.
I don't see Chief Spees, so I'll provide the update. The Brentwood Police Department has an opportunity to partner with the University of Missouri St. Louis, their national security and community policy collaboration on a Bureau of Justice Assistant grant application. And what this will do is it's the development of what's described as state-of-the-art training device for law enforcement. And we are, I think, the only local police department that will be participating with them. And we will use this to train, to use and train on the system and make recommendations for improvement in scenario. There is a cost to the city. However, it will be overtime, but they will reimburse the city for our cost for participating. So this was presented at the Public Safety Committee, and they approved the city's participation. So no formal action is required of the city, but we're just sharing this information with you. Other items worth noting is the September 18th, Saturday, September 18th at 3. We are scheduled to have the We Love Brentwood Community Parade. There is information on the website, so we are asking all those who would like to be in the parade to contact the city. Contact information is on the website, and then following this will be the Brentwood Backyard Bash. I think as most people have noted, we're not having our annual Brentwood Days because of COVID, so we still want to give members of our community an opportunity to celebrate. So this is what we have put forth instead. And then lastly is the city's 2021 street asphalt project. We were originally scheduled to start that last Friday, but we wanted to make sure that we gave enough notice to the driving public, primarily because the work will start now on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd, at 5 a.m. So cars will still be able to pass Strassner back and forth, but we'll be closing one lane at a time. And the goal is for them to start early, try to avoid the morning traffic rush, and start the milling process and remove the top 2 inches of asphalt. So once again, information on this also on the city's webpage.
Great.
That's it.
Any questions for our city administrator? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. On the agenda, we have our usual 2 warrant list, minutes from previous meetings, 3 meetings actually, and then 3 resolutions. Can we, if nobody wants to have any questions?
I request that item F be pulled off the consent agenda just because we didn't have a chance to look at that at Public Works due to the reschedule, so we're bringing it right to the board, so I think that would be good to consider separately.
All right, so item F will move down to the last new business, which will be H. Oh, I'm at F. Where are we at? G, rather. Okay. G? Yeah. Can we, if there aren't any other changes, can we just approve by the amended consent agenda by acclamation? Seeing no opposition, we shall do that. Moving on to new business. We have Resolution 1307. I guess, Mr. City Attorney, could you read that in title only?
Thank you. Resolution 1307, a resolution approving the demolition and construction services necessary for demolition, roadway improvements, trail construction, storm sewer installation, previous payment, stormwater, BMP construction, amphitheater, seat walls, retaining walls, and landscaping per the work scope on the Brentwood bound Great Rivers Greenway Connector Project Part A project documents between the Ideal Landscape and the city of Brentwood.
Thank you. Ola, who is presenting?
Dan will do the initial presentation, then Craig and Eric.
Three amigos, huh?
That's right. This will be a tag team. Last week, you'll notice that we had a bid opening on these projects, and total of 4 bids were received. Just got to find the right page. Here we go. So of those 4 bids that we received, so far it looks like Ideal Landscape, was the most responsive. We looked at this compared to the original budget, but then we also looked at it compared to what was added in here. So there is a little bit, or actually those 2 lowest bids were below the engineer's estimate. And when we look at the additions that we talked about in here, there's different alternates that we decided would either be included or would be excluded. So if you look at the memo, there's the alternates that are included. So there's alternate 1, that's park irrigation system. So that's an add of roughly 160,000. Alternate number 2 is the installation of an enhanced landscape. That's also an add-on of 46,837. Alternate 3 is actually a deduct, so that would be removal of the Versalock Union Pacific Railroad retaining wall. Alternate 5 is to install landscaping around, there's a sewer structure, 3S we've mentioned before, that's an add of just 3,500. And then alternate 10 is the installation of the amphitheater seating walls, that's an add-on of 113,648. So when you take the alternates and add to it the base bid, we're looking at roughly 3.6 million. And then we wanted to include contingencies like we've done before. So the total would be roughly 3.7 million, and the contingencies, the 10%, around 371,192. That's what we're looking for a motion to go ahead and enter into a contract with Ideal and include that 10% contingency.
Questions for Dan?
Hey, Dan, just one clarification. So this does not include parking lot or really anything related to event lawn. This is the path, the amphitheater, pretty much all that stuff as shown in the memo, right?
Right. Some of the exclusions would be, like, one of the biggest add-ons would have been that boardwalk. If we included that, that would add almost $500,000. So we're real close to the ceiling. If you add on some of these other ones, it'll exceed it.
Can I help you out?
Yep.
It includes the parking lot. It does not include the event lawn building or the event lawn.
Okay, it does include the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Alderwoman Tice?
So Dan, I have a question about the fencing around the sewer structure. What is the sewer structure and what fencing, is that a safety thing or?
Yeah, there is a big MSD structure that is right where that Phase 1 trail comes from the east to the west, and it ties into the GRG connector trail that goes around the lake. It's kind of like a fork. You either go straight to Dorothy or you take a right and you go to Hanley. At that fork, there's a big MSD structure, which is a big concrete pad. So we had the contractor price 2 alternates, one which was to put a fence around that, and one which was to do a vegetated screen. And Eric wanted the vegetated screen, more of a soft screening of that with plant material rather than having a big chain link fence around it.
Okay, great. That just, when I read that, I didn't,
Yeah, good question.
yeah, I just wanted to be safe. And then the other question I have is probably for Eric about the landscaping maintenance. Like, I don't see it in this bid, and what's the plan to maintain the landscape that we're doing in this section and throughout the whole project?
So we do have, the base bid includes maintenance for 1 year. And the alternate, we had an alternate for year 2 and year 3. And ultimately, we decided not to accept that alternate, mainly because that's one thing we can look at later on once we get all the projects done. And once we get the projects done, then we can see how much money we have left, if it's worthwhile to go back and take the those alternates. In addition, we do have it in phase one already, and so maybe the idea is we talk to that contractor who's doing that maintenance, or even packaging them all together so it's under one contract instead of having three different landscape companies doing three different sections of the park. So those are some of the reasons why we want to look at this a little bit later.
Great, thank you.
Alderman Gould.
Yeah, as far as the boardwalk around the pond, part of the appeal of having the pond, yes, it's a flood mitigation measure, but when it's not flooded, it's going to be, I'm sure, an attraction for people to come and enjoy. Is the plan to have it laid out to where we can add something in the future, or is that something, because you would think people will want to walk around it, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and Craig can jump in on this, is that is something we can add later on. We do have pathways that will be going around the lake, so it's not that you won't get a view of it at all. The boardwalk would just be going onto the water a little bit. And ultimately, when we're right at budget and we have a $500,000 cost, it was, is that worth some of the other things that we might have to cut because of it? So.
Okay, so this is a boardwalk that would actually extend out over into the lake, not around it.
No, we have pathways around.
Okay. All right.
And ultimately, we could always do something a little bit different in the future, like a pier instead of just the whole boardwalk. There's lots of things we could look at in the future as well.
Perfect, thank you.
There are no other questions. I'd entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1307.
So moved.
Second.
You get all that, Kelly? All right, can we have roll call then?
Kevin, should we have roll call?
Alderman Plufka,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Weggie,
Yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderman Shelton.
Yes.
By a vote of, motion passes. Motion carries.
Thank you. Move on to Resolution 1308. Could we have a reading of that, Mr. City Attorney?
Resolution 1308, a resolution approving the construction services necessary for excavation for stormwater retention, a new pavilion with restrooms, hardscape landscape, event lawn lighting, and utilities for food truck area per the work scope in the Brentwood bound event lawn comfort station building project documents between Hoff.
Sounds like you're back up there, Dan.
Yep. This will be another tag team event. Same bid opening on the 10th. We had a total of 8 bids open up for this comfort station, and we also had 5 bid alternates. Included with the base bid would be, we originally were at 1.7 million, but then we added scope. So if you recall, there's solar panels, the operable glass, sliding wall, some restroom revisions, gutters and downspouts, some security conduits, playground conduits, and a food truck area that'll have utilities. So that pushed our budget closer to $2 million. And when you look at the bids, the lowest and most responsive is Hoff Construction at 2.5 million. So there's still a delta of about 500,000. If you look at the alternates, most of them are deductive alternates, but you're not going to deduct enough of that 2.5 million to bring it down to 2 million. But I know on this particular project, Parks, working through Eric, there's actually a grant of, I believe, $370,000. So that'll help bring that overrun back down closer to the 2 million. And what we're looking for now is approval of Hoff Construction, but not considering those 5 alternates, keep it at its original base bid of 2.5 million.
Questions for Dan, anyone? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1308. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So the increase, did material costs and the rise of material costs factor into that significantly? Is that?
Yeah, that was the sole reason. The GRG connector, we saw it a little bit, but not as much because it's mostly local materials. It's concrete and some pavers that are locally manufactured and sourced. But when you get into buildings, we're seeing a lot more in building construction. So almost all aspects of building construction's impacted. I was talking with a mechanical contractor that actually the city uses for their city hall. And he told me that metal duct, that used for HVAC systems, in the past 4 months, the cost has gone up by 3 times. So we hear about costs going up by 10%, 20%, 30%. I was watching the nightly news last Thursday. He said inflation went up by 5.4% in July alone. But we're seeing that tremendously more on certain aspects of building construction. And so it's really all aspects of that really brought that bid up from $2 million to $2.5 million.
Thank you.
Brandon?
So I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1308.
Second.
Seconded.
Tony, so-
Oh, okay. Get that, Kelly? Could we have roll call then?
Actually, could we have I just had another question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So to build on what Alderman Gould said, so has there any consideration been given to the notion that this 300-fold or this threefold increase, 300% increase represents some sort of a spike, and that if we waited a little bit of time, that those costs would come back down?
I mean, there's always a chance of that. We track a lot of, we get a weekly report from the Society of General Contractors. Is a big conglomerate that tracks inflation costs in the building industry. And they aren't seeing any signs that this could drop anytime soon. Frankly, the signs are it's going to keep going up. And that's what we've seen, is that costs keep going up on a monthly basis. So, if you waited 9 months, could it go down? Maybe. You would lose a $370,000 grant if you waited 9 months, I can tell you that, because you have to have the building done by June of 22.
Sure, I understand.
So that's a definitive end date that we have to meet for the municipal league, but nobody knows what the future entails.
So would it be fair to say that you view these inflationary changes as more of inflation than you do of some sort of logistical, thing that's occurring in the aftermath of COVID that'll get straightened out quickly?
It's honestly both. It's inflationary, and it's also supply chain challenges.
Okay.
And the supply chain challenges, we thought they would correct themselves in a short period of time, but demand keeps going up, especially with this infrastructure bill that's sounds like it's likely it's going to come out.
Sure.
That's going to make things worse. When there's so much demand in construction, and then you say spend another 1.2 trillion or 1 trillion in construction, that's make the demand going up even more, and they can't get the supply chain up to those levels because of labor shortages. So it's this domino effect that we keep hoping it gets better every month, and it keeps getting worse.
Okay.
So I wish I could predict the future, but I'd hate for me to give you the wrong advice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Remind me again, the cost of the solar panel arrays in the mix of this,
They were around $75,000.
$75,000, that's it?
Correct.
To put those on?
Mhm.
Okay. Because I know that we talked about those could be added anytime, but,
Yeah. Correct.
It's just, it seems like an overage, a pretty heavy hit on the overage, so I'd like to know if there are things that we feel could be scaled to get us closer and wouldn't, cause a problem.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, roll call.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Move on to Bill number 6338. Mr. City Attorney, can we have a first reading, title only?
Bill number 6338, first reading, an ordinance to amend section 400.430 of the Brentwood City Code relating to membership of the Architectural Review Board.
Well, is anyone presenting on this, or?
I can address it, Mr. Chairman. This is recommended to the board by city staff to address a problem that the city has encountered. Our current provisions for the Architectural Review Board require that members, first of all, it establishes membership at 4 with 2 alternates, but requires that the members be architects. And the city has had a challenge in finding resident architects who are willing to take on this responsibility, even if we doubled the pay. It apparently is a challenge. So the recommended amendments here, first of all, clarified that the 4-person membership is 3 volunteer citizen appointees plus the building official. The clarification here is that it is a 3-member ex officio building official who votes only in the case of a tie. That means that the quorum necessary to do business, as opposed to 3 out of 4, is 2 out of 3. And one of the problems we are having because of the current qualification and other demands on the current membership is we have a difficult time getting a quorum of 3 and therefore getting business done in a timely manner. Applications are pending, may be pending an untoward length of time. This change says that the members appointed do not have to be architects, and they have to satisfy the Board of Aldermen that they have the necessary training or experience to deal with the issues, just as you evaluate the fitness of other appointees to other boards and commissions to serve with respect to the subject matter of those boards. Those are really the substantive changes to the bill from this amendment. We're cleaning up a little of the language. Requirement that members be residents continues to be enforced. There is a separate ordinance in the city code which says all members of boards and commissions have to be city residents. And the durational residency requirement continues to be enforced. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and Ms. Kelly also can answer any questions you may have. As will Moore, if you ask.
Questions from the board? I just have one. So if I've got this right, you could have a meeting be held with just the 2 and then the building official.
2 members, yes, but we also provide for alternates. And one of the things we're doing in this bill, by the way, we are changing, is seeing to it that the alternates' terms are staggered just the way the board members' terms are staggered. So that there's opportunity for each board to have some influence on membership. But, so if the 3 regular members, if only 2 indicate that they're going to be able to attend, one of the alternates will be asked to attend to get a full complement. But yes, we can operate with 2 board members if necessary.
And then the building official officiates the meeting? How does that?
No,
The chair.
I don't know what the practice is.
There is a chair. So the building official is there to respond to questions.
Oh, they'll
that
pick
they
their
have.
own
Yeah.
later on. Do they have to have any qualifications to be on this? Or are
They
these?
have to persuade the mayor to nominate them and the board to approve. Same as with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the other boards and commissions of the city. It does say that they should have training and experience, such training or experience as the mayor and board of aldermen deem appropriate for the position.
All right. Alderman Gould?
Is this similar to other cities, municipalities that have ARBs and changes that they've made due to the same struggles, or?
Mr. O'Keefe has done some research, and Whitney Kelly can also speak to what they have in Creve Coeur.
State law does not require architectural review bodies, and so every community sort of approaches it differently. In one of my other client communities, that's a charter city, the Plan Commission is the ARB, and they switch hats during the course of the meeting. Another 4th-class city I represent has a separate architectural review board. It's again 3 people, civilians in the community. There is not an educational or licensing requirement for membership. Kelly, if you want, Ms. Kelly.
Welcome to your first Board of Aldermen meeting, Whitney.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Whitney Kelly, new planning director. The City of Creve Coeur does not have an architectural review board. Their Planning and Zoning Commission does review the designs of new commercial property, commercial developments. We do not do individual, I'm sorry, no longer we. They do not, do not do individual review of residential homes. We do somewhat get into part of that. They do somewhat get into part of that as part of their review for rezoning under a special permitting process, but only at the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. There is no qualification that there be an architect on the board. They do try to get one when we can, but again, it's all part of the same issue you're having with volunteers. It's either they like to have someone that has a legal background, some real estate background, architectural, or some sort of design background on the board, but it is based upon who we get as part of volunteers. Yeah.
No further questions. Thank you.
I would just say, I mean, I feel like we as a city have been lucky that we've been able to find 3 licensed architects up to this point, or 4, excuse me. And I mean, I feel like personally, we knew that this problem was coming for a long time and that something would have to happen at some point. So I support this resolution.
My only concern is we could end up with a board that's 3 or 4 or 5 citizens up against a builder trying to tell him how to build his building. And it could be, I could see this going back and forth instead of being resolved right then and there. I think with the professionals we've had on there, they've been able to use CAD drawings, listen to the citizens, and adjust either the look of that front of that building, you know, minimize garage viewing, minimize height by doing some changes right then and there. I have a hard time seeing how 3 to 5 citizens are going to be able to do that, and I can see a going back and forth of builders to multiple meetings to get things done. But that's just a concern I have. With us being able to pick what, or I guess approve what the mayor brings to us, that's something we may need to keep in our back of the minds, that somebody on that panel needs to at least have some expertise on some of these things. But Alderman Gould.
One more question. Has the current ARB, are they aware of this, and are they open to and agreeable to it?
They are aware of the difficulty
Oh, yeah,
in getting
sure
a
they are.
quorum to meet, but I don't believe they're aware of how we're attempting to reconstitute the
Okay.
committee.
Will
And
be
they had ideas
accepting?
too,
Yeah.
that Lisa Korkemeyer presented at Public Works Committee, that there is need for a change because they understand the position that we would be placing applicants in. So, but yes, to what has been said, we have been very fortunate that the 3, even with their busy schedule, because they do travel a lot across the country and out of the country as well, and they've been using the CAD system that the city hasn't paid for. They use their own and make these adjustments on the fly during the meeting.
One more question.
Yes.
Is there a sense of urgency? Is that why we're doing first and second reading tonight?
There was, primarily because we, and maybe some of the aldermen, and I know the mayor did, receive calls from an applicant where we had to cancel the meeting because we didn't have a quorum, and the applicant was sufficiently upset. So this was, it just came to a head, and I felt we needed to find a way to resolve it. And since we've been putting out notices on Nextdoor, city website, everywhere we can think of to get new individuals interested, we only got 1. The one is not an architect. That person is really interested, and we'd be thrilled to have him, but he's not even a Brentwood resident right now, and probably won't be until their house is built. Then he has to be a resident for a year. So we're not getting any new interest right now. There's an urgency, but then there isn't until we don't have a quorum, and then we're back here again.
Wiggy, or?
Well, I mean, I guess my conclusion is, I feel like it would be good to go talk to the existing ARB and get their thoughts on this, and also kind of socialize this with the city. I mean, most residents probably don't realize what the ARB does. I think they're extremely value-added. I do think it's a little arbitrary, but they're bringing their expertise, you know, and I think it's very important. I've seen the results of what they do. I think this is worth, unless there is some super compelling, and that's happened in the past. I mean, I've seen projects that have been delayed 4 or 5 months just because they, you know, for various reasons, somebody got sick once and then they had to cancel, and it just, you know, that is a problem, but I think this is not worth doing the second reading tonight. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes, I agree with Alderman Weggie. I'd like to see some outreach done on social media and our Brentwood Forest Line, the Pulse, something a wanted. We need architects for this because I agree, I don't think most citizens realize that there is such a committee or a need. So before we race to act, let's give it a try to do a little more outreach and advertise it.
Mr. City Attorney, give me a hand here. We've just had a first reading. Do we need a motion to postpone then to the next meeting?
If there is no motion for second reading, the matter will just be on the next agenda. I might add, by the way, when I gave a synopsis of the bills, one of the things that the substantive change that is not, I did not mention, and I apologize, is the current code provision says that members of the board can be removed for cause, but state law does not provide that. State law says members of fourth-class cities, boards of commissions serve at the will of the board, and they're subject to removal by the mayor and a majority of the board or 2/3 of the board without the mayor's consent. So we've changed that to comply with state law.
Well, then, is there a motion for a second? Seeing none, I guess we'll move on. Move on to bill number 6339. Mr. City Attorney, could you give us a first reading?
Bill number 6339, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into an executed agreement on behalf of the city of Brentwood, Missouri with construction, and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
And who's our presenter, Spola?
Dan Gumersheimer?
Okay. We opened up bids on July 20th. This is the sidewalk and street lighting project, so it'd be this block over here of Rosalie between Swim Club and Brentwood Boulevard. On the south side, we're proposing a new 5-foot wide ADA sidewalk as well as some street lighting. We had a total of 6 bidders submit bids to us. Krupp Construction is the low bid at $165,076.56. All of these bids, along with the DBE goals, which was 16% for the disadvantaged business enterprise, those were sent to MoDOT. And on Friday, I received an email from MoDOT with their concurrence. So they're saying all 6 bids were good. They concur with Krupp. Krupp's submittal met all their criteria. And the next step is to go ahead and approve this bill into an ordinance to enter into a contract. And then once we submit the full contract to MoDOT, then they'll give us full notice to proceed, which I would expect sometime by the beginning of September. So of that 165,000 rough number, 80% of it is actually reimbursed back to the city. So I did look it up earlier today. Total funds for the project through MoDOT, $414,955. Of that, almost $415,000, $331,964 is federal, and the city would kick in $82,991 of that total ceiling. So we're underneath the engineer's estimate, which was prepared by Horner and Schifrin. That's a little over $209,455. So we should be good with the board's consent to go ahead and move forward with this.
Questions for Dan? Not seeing any, so we'll, Brandon?
Yeah, well, when would construction start? Do we know if we approve this tonight?
We have to wait for the full notice to proceed, and then I wanted to have some sort of kickoff meeting with public input, and Also with this same project, you've noticed, or most people have probably noticed, there's, the gas company's doing a relocation. They have to get out of the way for the electric for the lights. And then MSD also has a project with Fred Luth and Sons that'll start probably like middle of September. That's not related to this project, that's a sewer separation. So right now, the streets of Bridgeport, White, and Rosalie are in a combined sewer, and they'll separate that into separate sanitary and storm. So I'd like to get in, hopefully, before they start. And they're gonna be mostly doing excavation work in the street and then down the alley past the post office and then going north all the way up to the other streets. So I'm hopeful that this will start sometime in September. And like I said, I need to be done before the end of the year, and then we'll submit that final payment and get our reimbursement.
Okay. I'd make a motion to have a second reading of bill number 6339.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 6339, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator to enter into an executed agreement on behalf of the city of Brentwood, Missouri, with Krupp Construction and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
Motion?
Motion to perfect bill number 6339 in the ordinance form.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Oh, am I on? Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Bill number 6339 passes by a vote of 8 yes to 0 no, and will become ordinance number 4973 when signed by the mayor.
Okay, move on to Bill 3640. Mr. City Attorney, first reading and title only, please.
Bill number 6340, first reading, an ordinance approving utility easements with Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for sewer facilities for the Brentwood Bound Improvements Project.
Dan, I imagine this is you again?
It is, yeah, both of these are, so in this particular case, MSD needs easements for both access and a permanent easement for the actual pipes themselves. And I've listed the addresses here where they're requiring this either access or permanent sewer facility easement. So we've got 8723 and 8702 East Pendleton, 2735 Bompart, 8734 and 8722 Suburban Tracks, and then 2761, 2805, 2940, and 2871 Mary Avenue. There's no cost for this. They've prepared the exhibits. They'll do the recording. This has already gone through Jacobs as well as Horner and Schifrin, so it's gone through the design team. Now it's just a matter of giving them the rights to have access to these properties so they can manage their sewer system.
Questions for Dan or a motion for a second read?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, I thought Nancy was going.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone oppose? All right, Mr. City Attorney, a second read, please.
Bill number 6340, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance approving utility easements with Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for sewer facilities for the Brentwood Bound Improvements Project.
Entertain a motion to perfect the bill.
Motion to perfect bill number 6340 into ordinance form. Second.
Good?
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Bill number 6340 passes by a vote of 8 to 0 and will become ordinance number 4974 when signed by the mayor.
Thank you. Move on to Bill number 6341. Could we get a first reading, please?
Bill number 6341, first reading, an ordinance approving utility easements with Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for sewer facilities for the Brentwood Bound Improvements Project.
Just a ditto of what we just,
It is. In this particular case, this came a little bit later. Jacobs, everyone's looked at this. This one is over by Midwest Floors, so the address is 2714 Breckenridge Industrial, and the other location is at 8000 Manchester, which is the former Frederick Roofing. So there'll be a sewer, pretty much between Frederick Roofing and Joy Luck, and then over on the Breckenridge side by what used to be the flooring store. Same exact thing, no cost, they'll record it.
I like no cost. All right, a motion for a second read, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. City Attorney, how about a second read?
Bill number 6341, second reading and consideration for an adoption and ordinance approving utility easements with Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District for sewer facilities for the Brentwood Bound Improvements Project.
You motion to perfect Bill 6341 in ordinance form?
So moved.
Second.
Hope you got that, because I don't. All right. Roll call, please.
Okay. Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Okay. Bill number 6341 passes by a vote of 8-0 and will become ordinance number 4975 when signed by the mayor.
All right, our final, I guess it was a resolution we brought down from the consent agenda.
So as Alderman Weggie said, this is
Well, let me back up a second. Excuse me, Eric. Do we need to have a first read of the, please?
Resolution 1309, a resolution approving a contract with SWT to provide design services for the preparation of construction documents for bidding the construction of the Hanley Park Comfort Station / Pavilion.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
So as Alderman Weggie said, this is something that would have gone to Public Works, but with the timing, it got brought up here. So we're doing, one of our capital projects this year is to design the new Comfort Station Pavilion in Hanley Park. And we put out an RFQ. We got 7 responses, which is wonderful. We interviewed 5, which is a lot. We interviewed 5 because we had worked with all 5 of the companies and had really good, a good time with all of them. I mean, they did a good job in each of the things they did. So Bond Architects, I know, did the firehouse, Key Dini, who did the rec center, Christner, who's doing the current pavilion, OWH, who did the pavilion Oak Tree, and then SWT, who's doing the playground right now. So again, this is something that we've worked with all these guys before, so it made it very difficult. As you see, we're recommending SWT for a couple reasons. They have a lot of experience in designing pavilions, especially in nice parks like O'Day Park, at Veterans Tribute Park, even the Emerson Central Field and Forest Park. Also did the pavilion at the zoo, which I forgot to mention. One of the bigger reasons, though, is that, it's in Hanley Park. It floods down there. We'll be working with MSD and also the floodplain administrator and possibly the Corps. And they have someone on site, they have a civil engineer on staff who can navigate that easily and has done so throughout the playground process. So that is a big added bonus that SWT has on their own staff. And they gave a great presentation about their thoughts, how they would incorporate the design in Oak Tree as well as the design that Christner's currently doing, and kind of keep it within that family so you know that you're still at a Brentwood Park. And so our recommendation is move forward with SWT.
Questions for Eric?
Eric, it says that this price includes demolition services?
Yeah, so we'll demo the current bathroom and the current the current pavilion. So that'll be part of what they'll be putting together in the construction documents.
Okay, but they wouldn't be doing,
No, they're just putting together all the construction documents for the demolition and the new pavilion.
okay. And then is there an opportunity to, I know it's based on the Oak Tree design, and we had a lot of discussion about this, if you remember, when we did the budget last year, but is there an opportunity similar to what we've done with some other designs, like the event building, to kind of meet with them?
Yeah, we
either
made
Public
sure that
Works
was
or the
put.
board to kind of get intent so that we don't get something at the end that won't go through the board?
That's definitely something we discuss in the process, and they've added into their time meetings with committees and boards.
Okay, thanks.
No other questions? I would move for approval of resolutions 1309.
Motion to approve Resolution 1309.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Great, thank you. All right, move on to citizen comment. Anyone like to make a comment for 3 minutes? Step up to the podium. If not, what about virtually?
There are no members
All right.
virtually.
Move on to, we have a closed meeting this evening, so I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session for legal, real estate, and personnel, and adjourned from that closed meeting and at that session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Excuse me?
Roll call vote.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries by a vote of 8 to 0. We'll move to closed session.